There are different aura types. You probably heard of different aura colors, but they're actual different categories of auras, and they operate in totally different ways. So the first one we're going to talk about is the manifestor. And we talk about this first because this is the not self-programming that most of us have. So you see, at most, it's about 8% of the population. That means 92% of us, if we're running this manifestor program, we're in the not self. So the manifestor is that, like, you know, go out, initiate, pound the pavement, the American dream, you know, get off your butt and get moving. And that program is only correct for about 8% of humans. And for those humans, they have to move, they have to initiate in order for their aura to work correctly. They can't wait around like a generator. So they, because they're a pure energy, they end up dealing with a lot of anger. And because of that, there's been a weird ricochet going on where a lot of manifestors, even well-meaning ones, have tried to spread their doctrine and, you know, their strategy and homogenize it to everyone, but it only works for them. So manifestors, they have a repelling aura. These are people who say, you know, I want to go to Five Guys restaurant. I don't know where one is. They turn the corner and there's a Five Guys right there. They say it, they move, it happens.
Yes, because the manifestor, they got this magical. It's kind of like as you move. I was explaining it the other day, and the manifestors, they kind of tie into the universal law of action. And the universal law of action is whenever you're trying to manifest anything into reality. The actual key to manifestation is once you get the image within your mindset and within your imagination, then the next thing that you do after you come away from the meditation is you apply some sort of action. So the manifestors, they represent that action that you would apply on the ground when you're trying to manifest things, or when you're trying to actually make things materialize within the reality. So as the manifestor literally walks their everyday walk, the reality tends to kind of morph and shape around their thoughts. So as you stroll along as a manifestor, and this is the reason why people, even if you don't know it, but you innately love your manifestor friends, because every time you come around those manifestor friends, things start to just pop off. Things start to happen. But it's always a movement. So being a manifestor, you're always being called on to do something. It's always something. It's always about some type of movement. So a lot of times you can kind of get, you can kind of feel as if your energy is being used. And that is a very serious thing.
Yeah, because people like only call you when they want something.
Yes, it's like, okay, I need to go to the store. So hey, you know, I don't want to say people's names on here, but we got a good friend of ours, Carol, is a manifestor, and
Hi, Carol.
I love using Carol as my example because she really is. I can just watch her. I'm watching her as her transformation. You know, as she goes along this transformational path of informing and just letting you guys know what the deal is. But the manifestors, you know, as you move along, it's so deep because. We went to the Something Fresh Fest that was hosted by Organic Blood and, you know, the Yoni Eggs with Tiffany Janae. And we were leaving, but the gate was locked. And this is a true story. So we were trying to go back to our place in Atlanta that where we were staying. So as we were leaving with our car, the gate was locked. And nobody was around. They was all in the, you know, at the fire pit, and just everybody was kind of just doing whatever it is that they were doing at the campsite. But lo and behold, as we go, so as we go, as we try to get out of the gate, somebody just roll up, and the person that rolls up is Carol, the manifestor. And now the manifestor, you guys have that repelling aura. So because you have the repelling aura, she literally just started going up to the gate, and she just started jingling on the gate, and I went up to the gate, and I'm trying to move it, and I'm trying to work it, and it's not moving, but she just walked up to the gate and just started jingling around, and then next thing you know, bam, the gate opens. So the repelling aura.
Yes.
It is so repelling. Like, you can repel any obstacle, any obstacle. The people that make it up to the multi-level the marketing programs or the pyramid scheme type programs is always a manifestor at the top. Always, because they are the only ones who can literally walk through that gauntlet without getting scraped up, without going broke, without having to live on the street to sacrifice everything that they have and want. You know, so they live as a manifestor. If you are a manifestor, you do live a charmed existence. You know, but the reality will try to get you to slow down. You see, and it's not okay for you to slow down. Manifestors, you guys are the movement. You represent the law of action, the universal law of action, and without you, we won't be able to move things into action.
That doesn't mean don't rest when you're tired. That's not what he means.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. Yeah. Definitely rest when you're tired.
It's more like manifestor children in the classroom should not be expected to sit still all day. That's like child abuse.
Yes.
Manifestor energy does not, there is no for the manifestor aura. So the best you can do when you're parenting or teaching or guiding manifestors as children is you give them a boundary and then let them do whatever they want within that boundary. And a lot of times, like, parents who aren't manifestors, they're afraid because they don't have a repelling aura, so they think they should teach their child to behave as though they don't have a repelling aura and everything's so dangerous. The manifestor child is the type of child that could get lost, walk through, you know, all of Manhattan and come home, and it was just an adventure, and parents are freaking out, and the child is like, what? And he's like 4, you know?
Yes.
The aura is magical. And like
it's protected too.
They have like a magical protection field. Now they can repel obstacles, but the idea is that they're repelling the obstacles to get to the goal. So the repelling is supposed to be for the obstacles and not everything.
Yes, and another key thing, another little jewel to drop in there, because I see my boy Baba Soul stepping in the game, dropping jewels on. Check out his new single. Another jewel to drop in there, with as far as the manifesting auras, that auras can be programmed. And this is so important for you to understand. You can program your repelling aura to only repel certain things. But first you have to slow down enough within yourself to literally speak to yourself. So one thing you got to know about programming just anything within the reality is you have to speak to it. So yes, your cells do know English, Spanish, patois, what other German, Chinese, the inner workings of yourself. It knows your language, so you can speak to yourself, and your higher self is listening. And also you can speak to your aura, and you can program it to remove or repel certain things out of your way. And if you have a manifestor friend and they might not know that they're a manifestor, then you might want to tell them this. And you might want to just say, hey, you're the one that can get, all of these jobs, and they're the ones that go from job to job to job to job to job to job, and you're like, how the heck are you doing this? It's because they can pretty much do what they want to do. And they don't operate like the generators, and the generators is who we're going to talk about next. So manifestors, it's important for you to understand that it is safe to be you. Who do you impact? Your energy is very, very impactful because of the repelling quality of it. So people can feel you when you leave. People can feel you when you arrive. So you are important. And I feel like today, I don't know why, today I'm going to tell everybody that they are important. Because you have to know this. You just have to know this. There are billions of people on the planet, and it's only a couple of us that's learning this knowledge right here. So be proud of yourself and know that you have made it.
Now, I did mention on some of the advertising, if any of you don't know your type, go to jovianarchive.com. If anyone can type it in, it's JOVIAN archive.com. You click on Get Your Free Rave Chart. You need a birth time. If you don't know your birth time, do a guesstimate. But if you're guessing, try to either get a birth certificate or ask mom or a relative who remembers when you were born, because the time really does matter. It can be a very different chart from, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. could be a totally different entity. So it's worth it to do the research to get an accurate chart. But for those who can do that, if you haven't done it already, go to jovianarchive.com, because I know a lot of times when I'm sharing stuff on social media, people are like, wait, how do all these people know what they are? Like, what's the secret? So it's based on your birthday, birth time, date, location. Time, date, and location, right?
Time,
and
date,
date.
location.
Did I say? Yeah, date.
Time, date, location, yeah.
Yeah, so you can go and put that in. Is there any... So I guess the thing I want to say to the manifestors as well is, you know, the forgiveness thing coming in. Like, a lot of manifestors I meet, it's so funny because everybody thinks they want to be a manifestor, but it's really, really lonely to be a manifestor a lot of the time. Because they have this powerful, repelling aura, they can't sit still for a long time, and other people can't necessarily hang around them. Thank you, Mireya. They can't hang around you necessarily for a long time because it's a lot of energy. So they end up having to initiate and be alone a lot, and they're only 8% of the population. So they're getting a lot of not self-programming from other people around them, while at the same time everybody kind of wants to be them. So it's like, oh, be careful, you should slow down, let me say no to everything you want to do, but at the same time, oh, I wish I had the magic you have. So it's just a confusing thing that's going on because your parents probably didn't know you were a manifestor. They more than likely weren't manifestors. So just know that a lot of manifestors, you can be holding on to, you know, some real sadness and anger and stuff because your energy was forced into a box that it wasn't supposed to be in. And
yes,
I want to just tell the quick story of Kameen before we go on. This is important because some of you are raising manifestors, and some of you who are manifestors, this maybe could heal your inner children. Our friend Kameen was teaching like maybe 2nd grade or something like that, you know, lower grades, and he had a child that was, you know, really like always the bad child, getting in trouble, always moving around, blah, blah. And one day, you know, he asked the class, you know, is Johnny over here, is his behavior disrupting you? And the class was like, yeah, it kind of is. So he made a rule. He said, you can do whatever you want, Johnny, but one finger has to touch the desk at all times. So then Johnny was able to stand up, he could wiggle around, he could jump, he could do his work standing on one foot, whatever, but he just had to always be touching the desk. Suddenly, straight A student, no behavior problems, you know, so it doesn't, it's, you know, Blake is on here. Our manifestor friend just joined. Hi, Blake. You know, everything has solutions, but if you don't even know what's going on in the first place, we're trying to solve things, and in so many cases we're making things worse because we just didn't have these manuals. These are like the cheat codes to our reality, and we didn't have them, and we're all going around, and our egos or like our fears were trying to make us act like we knew, and we didn't know what the heck was going on. So that's the manifestors.
That's the manifestor. Yeah,
so I'll
that's
give
pretty
one
much.
more time, just your
One more time. Also, manifestors, another key component is that you guys represent. You guys are non-verbal creators, and it's important
That's
that you
the thing,
it's important that you understand that you are a non-verbal creator because your strategy is to inform. And how can you inform when you're really non-verbal?
Yes, you
know?
do not want to talk about it. You want to just do it.
There we go.
But your strategy is you got to tell people first. And the reason is you like, your energy like drops bombs. So if you're like, hey, you know, and it could be a love bomb, but if you're like, hey, I'm about to kick off this event over here, it's going to impact you. Do you want to be involved or not?
Yes.
Just let people know. You're not going to want to do it, but you'll see if you put that in practice, things will be much smoother afterwards because then the people who don't want to get impacted can exit.
Yes.
And they can respond as generators are meant to do.
Yes, and a lot of manifestors, a lot of times, you know, you might be afraid to state what it is that you want because you may be afraid that they're going to say no.
Yes.
So even if they say no, just know there's more than one way to skin a cat, or there's more than one. I don't like to say that. I want to say
that's exactly what Junior does, though. Kevone's son is a manifestor. And when I say, like, no, you know, you can't do this, I'll see him be like, tick, 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 tick. He's like, well, what about if we did like this?
Yes, he's going to go that way.
He'll try to find out why I'm saying no and how he can, like, either, you know, get around it. Or he's like, well, you know, I'll do the dishes if, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's trying to always work it. And you can, you know, and as, you know, as his stepmom, I understand how he is. And I don't get afraid for him because I don't need to.
Yes.
So I give him the space. We do have limits though, you know, like if he's online playing a video game and there's some adults on there cursing and stuff, we say no to certain things. But we give him so much freedom that he's not in a constant, because when the manifestor hears no, it like burns you.
Yeah.
You know?
And the reason why it burns is because you're pure energy. So if you're pure energy, living in a world full of energy, is, you know, there are no doors, there are no barriers. So technically, the reality is never saying no to you. So how can a person say no to you? You know, you are the energy, you represent the energy in motion. So, you know, you do have a right to exist, and you do have a right to desire what it is that you desire. You know, and we're gonna stop right there and move to the next.
And I think we did about 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Okay, well, I'm partly ready with the generator. So, like I said, we're going to do the first two and then take a break. And maybe during the break session, I'll just ask questions just to see if it's clear and how the pacing is. In the meantime, you can, if you have comments or questions, you can start to put them in the comments, and I'll try to kind of be looking at them. We just probably can't get fully into them. But if you have any feedback that we need to hear, go ahead and put it in there. Thank you, Carol. Especially for people who are newer, because we get real excited, and I know that Miriam, a manifesting generator, just like me. I just want to make sure that there's clarity here, and we're not just, you know,